Hi, guys. Here to read Millie and Tilly. The story of a town mouse and a country mouse. Tilly was a mouse who lived in the country. She was every bit a country mouse, from the tops of her ears to the tip of her tail. Only the sharpest eyes could spot her home. It was down a lane, near a meadow, in the roots of a big old tree. Too close. Tilly was poor, but she worked hard to make her house comfortable. Each room was as neat as a pin and furnished with everything a simple mouse could want: a table, some chairs, and a soft little bed with a quilt she had sewn, stitch by stitch. Every day, Tilly got up early and did all her mouse work before breakfast. She plumped the cushion, swept the floor, and even polished the stove. Tilly spent most of her days gathering food. It wasn't always easy to find enough to eat, but at harvest time, there was plenty. She picked grains from the fields, cherries from the orchard, and nuts along the hedgerow. And because she was a sensible mouse, Tilly filled her pantry with all these good things and stored them up for winter. One sunny morning, Tilly was out collecting acorns when she bumped into the mail mouse. He had a letter for her. It said, "Dear Tilly, I'm coming to see you today. I've never been to the country before, so it will be a big adventure. Love, Millie." Tilly was so excited that she hugged the mail mouse. Then she told him about Millie, her friend from town. "I hope you have enough food," he said. "Folks say that town mice eat a lot." When Tilly got home, she put on her apron and began cooking right away. She was a good cook, and soon delicious smells of baking floated from the kitchen. After that, Tilly dusted the furniture again. She had already done it once that morning. Then everything was ready. Waiting was hard. Soon Tilly began to worry. What would they do all day? Millie had often written about her life in town. It sounded much more exciting than the country life. "I hope she won't be bored," thought Tilly. The clock ticked away. 1 hour, 2 hours. Meanwhile, Tilly kept peeping out the window every few minutes. What if Millie had gotten lost? Finally, as the clock struck 6, she heard a knock at the door, and there was her friend on the doorstep. They kissed noses. "At last," Tilly squeaked. "I thought you'd never get here." "I would have arrived sooner," explained Millie, "but a kindly snail carried my bags, and it's taken us all day long." Millie was hungry after her journey, so the two friends sat down to supper. They ate cabbage soup, roasted chestnuts, cherry turnovers, bread, seed cake, plum dumplings, and hot apple pie. Millie had a big appetite and finished every crumb. Do you have any cheese? She asked, hopeful. I'm afraid not, said Tilly. Oh dear, no cheese, thought Millie, but she was far too polite to complain. That evening, the two friends stayed up talking way past bedtime. Then, since she thoughtfully had given Millie her bed, Tilly curled up in the chair and went right to sleep. But in the bedroom, Millie lay awake for a long time. Nighttime in the country was so quiet that she couldn't sleep a wink. And at dawn, when she was fast asleep, the birds woke her up with their singing. After breakfast, the two friends went to the meadow to pick flowers. Tilly planned to show Millie how to make summer nectar. We'll need lots of buttercups and a bunch of daisies, she said. While they were busy, a bee came along. It buzzed all around Millie's head. Buzz, buzz. Millie had never seen a bee before. Go away, she squealed and ran. On a different day, let me show you this one. On a different day, they were walking near the farm. Suddenly, a sheep put its head through the fence and went, bah! It frightened Millie all to pieces. Oh, can't see. Oh, there's my light. Tilly had tried her best to make Millie happy, but before very long, Millie was ready to go back to town. Come with me, she said. I live in a big house. We'll have scrumptious meals every day. You'll love it. Tilly had always wanted to see where Millie lived, so she put on her very best hat and agreed to go to town. They walked through fields and over hills. The sun went down and the moon came up. At last, the friends reached town. They scurried along a busy street until Millie stopped outside a hole. In there, she whispered, disappearing into the wall. Tilly followed. It was all so strange that she felt quite nervous. Millie led the way along a hall. The carpeting tickled Tilly's feet. Then they scampered down the winding staircase, down, around, and down again to a room at the very bottom. And there in a corner stood a dollhouse. It had painted windows, a roof, and two chimneys, and a front door with a real bell. We're home, said Millie. Won't you step inside? Millie showed Tilly all around her house. There were lots of rooms, and each one was beautifully furnished. The green was for sitting in. The red room was for dining. The blue room was for afternoon tea. Tilly peeked into it was full of wonderful things, tiny pots, pans, spoons, and dishes, everything a mouse cook might want. The best of all was a shiny new stove, the latest in town, with knobs that turned on and off. went upstairs. "This is your room, Tilly," said Millie. "I hope you like it." The bedspread was yellow with curtains of match tied with tassels and bows. "Oh," Tilly sighed, "how lovely." There was a feather bed with lace pillows, a dressing table, and a footstool. The wallpaper was covered with daisies that reminded Tilly of home. She peered into every nook and cupboard, her nose twitching with delight. "Time to eat," Millie said. "My tummy is grumbling." Tilly supposed they would go to the kitchen, but Millie laughed. "Oh, I don't cook at all," she said. "There's always food ready at the big house." So the two friends scampered out of the dollhouse in search of some supper. Up the stairs they went and into the big kitchen. "Here, give me your paw," said Millie as they clambered up a shelf into the pantry. Tilly gasped to see so much food. There were chocolate cupcakes, cinnamon buns, crusty pies, nutty cookies, jars of jelly, a tray of tarts, and an enormous chunks of cheese. "Dig in," Millie said. "Eat as much as you like." But before they could nibble anything, a cat came along, jumped on a chair, and sprang. The two mice leaped for their lives. They scuttled along the baseboards with the cat just a whisker behind. "Help, help," squealed Tilly, running like the wind. "Faster," squeaked Millie, racing down a passageway. The cat pounced and chased them all the way back to the dollhouse, but he couldn't get in. Once they were safe inside, Millie tried to comfort her friend. "You mustn't mind that old cat," she said. "He often tries to catch me, but I'm far too quick for him." "Cat and mouse games are not fun are not fun for me," said Tilly, sniffling. She had begun to cry. "At least in the country I enjoy my meals in peace." Millie had to agree, but she said, "I risk getting caught every day, but town life suits me best." Oh, so the next morning, when the cat was napping, the two friends said goodbye. "Right soon," said Tilly. "I will," said Millie. We'll always stay good friends." Then Tilly ran all the way back to the country, made some hot chocolate, and settled down in her favorite chair to think about her adventures. The end. Millie and Tilly, the town mouse and the country mouse.